Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan is brought to you by Impact Zone Golf Academy, located at Tiburon Golf Club at the Ritz-Carlton Golf Resort and Impact Zone Golf World Headquarters, both located in Naples, Florida. Welcome to Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan, the only weekly golf instruction podcast that interviews the best golf industry pros from around the globe. Now, here's your host, Advanced Impact Zone Golf Instructor, Bernard Sheridan.
Martin, welcome to Breaking Par.
Hey, Bernie, great to be on. Thanks for having me.
It's really great to have you. You know, I mean, I've been watching what you do for quite a while now, and when you came out with Tour Striker is when you first actually fell on my radar, because I thought, what a great product, and really how fantastic, and some of the other products that you've come out with. And then, of course, now that you're involved with Revolution Golf, you're getting a lot more exposure with your tips and things like that, which is great. So congratulations on all those things.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot.
I always love it when I see other people succeed.
Oh, that's kind. Thanks.
I mean, it's really nice because I know that how hard guys work and gals in this business to get ahead and then also to help players in the game and help grow the game, and I know that you're a big part of that. So it's much appreciated, at least by me. I'm sure by many.
Well, thanks. You know, I've been at it a while now. I'll be 20 years a PGA member, which kind of cracks me up. And you know, it's kind of funny to think that I'll be a life member here. Remember when I was a young pro reading all the so and so's, you know, the life member, 25 years in the industry. I'm like, wow. That's crazy.
How about that? How did you first get involved in it? You know, what made you decide to become a professional?
Well, I grew up in Southern Ontario. My mentors, and forgive me the voice, early morning on the West Coast here, having my cup of coffee, about to go to the gym, work out. But my mentors were a guy named George Knudson. You might have heard of him. He was a great striker, won 8 times in the PGA Tour in the 60s. Another fellow named Ben Kern was the director of golf at a club that I worked at my whole life called the National. Well, not my whole life, but when I was a young man, it felt like my whole life. Other mentors of mine, you know, Mo Norman, the famous Canadian ball striker. So
Sure.
When I was a young guy in Southern Ontario, I had, you know, some interesting relationships with these guys that I didn't know were such big studs in the game of golf. And as it turns out, as I got older, they made a big impression on me. I started working for George when I was 16. At his driving range as a teacher, following up with what he did. He started a clinic that he'd teach these adults a 3-hour session. That they had to do that in order to be a member of his driving range. And once they were a member of his driving range, they could practice there. Then he trained a few young guys like myself to just kind of walk the line and answer questions if these people had questions about, you know, George's preferences and styles. And that's basically what I did. So I started at a pretty young age engaging like older adults and, you know, on George's style. Mm-hmm. And it was good. It was good for me to, you know, the game of golf's great that way. When I was a little kid playing golf, you know, there was a little muni down the street, Bernie. So my dad would drop me off when I was 9 and, you know, started golf when I was probably 7. But he'd drop me off when I was 9 at whatever time in the morning with $2 for lunch. I'd play all day with whoever, adults typically. Whip it around that 9-hole quite a bit, 3-4 times in a day, playing with, you know, different people that were teeing it up, learning the game, because it was a pretty easy, fun 9-hole, which I think golf needs more of, by the way. And so relating to adults was fun that way, and learning and building my game, and then meeting George Knudson, and that, I fell in love with the game. And then Ben Kern was a great professional. He was an All-American in New Mexico State. He played on tour for a while. You know, just a great operator. So I learned a lot in the game that way from those guys.
How did you end up in the States? I know that you're in Arizona. So right. How did you end up there?
You know, I played golf at New Mexico State from 88 to 92. You know, my famous teammate on that team was Rich Beam, who won the PGA. A lot of fun Rich was, and we had some other good players on that team. From there, I tried to play for a few years after that and had some fun, but just frankly wasn't good enough. Had a working visa, worked as a pro in Palm Desert after my playing days, got a head pro job down there, married a gal, and, you know, got my citizenship through marriage. And then now, you know, so that's how I've been in the U.S. my adult life.
Nice. And do you like being here a lot more? Or do you miss home? I mean, yeah, I'm sure you probably have a good amount of relatives still back in
Sure.
Canada.
In Canada, my mom's alive. My dad passed years ago, 20 years ago. Miss him every day. My mom's still alive. I get back as much as I can. I have a couple brothers still in Southern Ontario, my cousins. For me, the golf business brings me to the United States. Just that's the way it is. There's too much winter up there.
Yeah.
And frankly, Phoenix is great, except in the summertime it gets too hot. So we take our golf school on the road a little bit. But, Phoenix has been good to me. The Western U.S. is where my adult life has been. And I love it down here.
Now I know that when I see some of the things that you're doing there on Revolution Golf,
Yeah.
you're using TrackMan, yes?
Yeah. Technology is a big part of what I do. I use obviously cameras, TrackMan. I use something called Gears Golf, which is a 3D motion analysis.
Yeah.
We use Body Track at the golf school. So I like to think that, I mean, and my stuff, Bernie. So I've invented a few gizmos that I sell to people.
Yeah.
My idea is that if I can inspire somebody quicker to understand a feeling, they may get better faster. So if I can throw a bit of technology at them to enhance their understanding and not overwhelm them, just to get the message quicker, to me, that's what I want to do. And because I want somebody to come see me. My goal is to see somebody once and never see them again. And not because I don't like them, because I love them. I want to help them and get them out the door and on their way. I don't want to sign them up for a lesson and have them come back 10 times. I mean, I don't even sell lesson series. I mean, I don't want to. It's a thing where I want to give them the tools right away. And with today, you mean with the video and I'm a big believer in Edify. I don't know if you use Edify.
Yeah.
But, I love Edify because for the viewers and listeners, Edify is an online training platform where you can keep in touch with your student really nicely now. It's like a Facebook between the student and you, and maybe your physical, your PT or your doctor but it's just a great way to stay in touch. And so in one session, you can do a lot of good work. In my situation, I book people for half days, full days with a golf school. Very rarely does somebody book me for a 1-hour lesson. Now, the occasional guy who's super busy, only has time for an hour, will do that, but that's not my style of coaching. I like to get to know the person, play a couple holes with them, kind of watch what they do on the golf course, because the flat range, hitting golf balls on a perfectly manicured flat thing to a target out there, that's not golf. You've got to manage your dynamics. And Bobby Clampett says that beautifully. You got to manage your dynamics in the field. You got to understand the feelings of it when it's not perfect, when you've got a couple degrees here, your ball's all over the place. And that's tee boxes even. I don't know where you play, where you got 18 perfect.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty much everywhere. I mean, it's when you think about it, how many times have you been on a golf course and gotten a level lie? It's like a miracle. It might be once in a round.
Right.
And even then, it's sometimes you'll do rounds where you don't really have a perfect level lie. Even like you said, even on the tee box, it's not perfectly level.
Right, and that's where everybody tries to learn the game on a perfectly level condition, right? So that's one of my beefs with golf instruction, not instructors, just how people learn. I think it's kind of ludicrous in that we try to develop this feeling on this perfectly flat thing, which allows us all the ability to have increased mobility where you don't want it, in my opinion. So
right.
I got off on a tangent there. Sorry.
No, that's good. I like that. So we're here to listen to your insight, and now it's all the folks out in Impact Nation, we're calling it, which is our audience.
Yeah.
They're really they're really here to listen to this, to hear your insight, not to hear mine as much. I'm just a host, and I'm here to also to learn too. So I know that's the one thing that I love about being a host of a podcast like this, is I get the opinion and the observations of so many great minds in the game, and always learn something new. And if not, then it is something that I totally believe in also, which is, you really there's a lot of things that have happened in golf instruction that's not really the best for the game. And now it's starting to hopefully come around. And with technology and with guys like you and with guys like Bobby Clampett, and other great instructors out there. Hopefully, we'll be leading them in the right direction where they can have a lot more enjoyment.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Fun golf, getting out there in the field and being able to trust yourself and hit the center of the face and have the golf ball go where you kind of want it to, right? So, I mean, that's ultimately the goal. I think as a teacher, I've heard a ton of teachers say, man, I really owe a lot of people their money back from lessons way back when. I probably would say the same thing. Everybody says to me, do you love what you do? And I love what I do. My season technically starts tomorrow here in Phoenix. We were close to Orvis seating, and prior to that, we were kind of on the road. We wrapped up my last golf school in Phoenix May 7th, May 10th, or whatever it was. And then we went to Canada, and then we went to the UK, and then we were in the US, and then now we're back in Phoenix, and we get started with the Tour Striker Golf Academy. It starts this Thursday, and we go hard till the first week of May at the Raven in South Phoenix. So, I'm blessed to be doing what I'm doing. Luckily, and I look at Bobby Clampett as a mentor of mine. I mean, it's funny. I look at all these people that I've taken little bits of wisdom from over the years. And I remember when I was a little kid getting my first golf magazines, and Bobby Clampett was, that like the little golden boy there at BYU and just playing beautiful golf. And I remember stories of the US Amateur, I think it was. And, how good this guy was, so like guys like Bobby inspired me. And it was fun watching him play, and he had struggles and he had successes. And then, I remember, I went into the club pro world of being a director of golf and a general manager. And I'd kind of keep track of Bobby and, whether he's playing good or bad or, whatever. When I say bad, it's still very high level.
Absolutely.
Bad at that level is still amazing, right? That's what people understand. When a tour player plays bad, it's still amazing. It's just not 24 under and you're getting the check at the end of the week. It's still, even if a tour player misses a cut, he might think he's playing terrible, but let's face it, at that level, they're bad as everybody else's. I'd wish to play that well.
Yep.
But, it's been fun. I remember funny story because I'm a big fan of Bobby and Mariana, and I've gotten to know them over the years a little bit, and that's been a pleasure. I was literally probably the first person to go get his book. When I heard his book was coming out, I mean, I went to the Barnes and Noble and made him open up the box because I knew it was being delivered a certain day. But I bought the first copy because I was a fan of the Golfing Machine, and not that I taught it, verse, and I didn't quote, section 6 and -1C kind of stuff. That wasn't what I thought at all. But I liked understanding Homer's beliefs and trying to have systems of how the book worked and how students could find a way through the book and, certain components of a flat left wrist, lag pressure point, straight plane line, the imperatives and essentials, steady head, rhythm and balance, etc. And it's to me, the golf swing is a signature. Everybody's got their own style, little styles that are personal to them, but certain things have to happen. Like Bobby's a big fan on low point. Well, me too. You got to have low point control.
Yeah.
You got to have a lever. You got to have somewhere this thing can't be too, you can't be super cuppy. You're not going to play very good golf. You're not going to deliver a nice dynamic loft every time. A straight plane line. I mean, that goes without saying. So, with Bobby's history in golf and background in golf kind of led him in a direction. And then my history in golf and through the mentors I've had, one of my main mentors was a Golf Machine coach named Mark Evershed. You might have heard of Mark.
Yes.
Excellent coach. And when George Knudsen, my original teacher and mentor, passed away, Mark Evershed was my coach for a while there and helped me a lot. And so that was kind of my introduction to the Golf Machine. And, and through other coaches like I always say Mike LeBeau was a big influence on me. He's a Phoenix guy out here. Great coach, great player, very insightful guy as far as not over-coaching somebody yet dragging out what they're good at and kind of sending them back on their way. He's a high-level coach who probably doesn't get enough credit for what he's done in the game. A lot of guys I've had influence with. I mean, I love just reading books and watching on nowadays with media online. I mean, if you're a young coach, you can get a ton of great information for free online if you dig in. You can learn about everything. I mean, it's all there for you. Back when I'm 46 now, soon to be 47 next week, back in, quote, my day, you had to literally go meet and shadow and get on a phone call that was a phone attached to a wall. Now you can get online and you can observe stuff for free and learn a lot. TrackMan and Gears and Body Track and all this Titleist Performance Institute thing on physiology and how the body works. Pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, technology, and as far as it's come, I'm 10 years older than you. I'm 57, so you can imagine that it was very much similar for me.
Sure.
And there's just so much through things like YouTube and just everything out there. There's a ton of information. Shows like this, where where we have guys like you and other great professionals talking about things that are really relevant to the game, and those type things, they weren't available back then. And it really is, I think we'll really see the impact of that in probably about 5 or 10 years, where we'll see maybe now handicaps starting to drop a little bit, even though they really haven't dropped tremendously from back in the day overall for the average player. But I think that with guys like you out there with great products, with greater understanding through education and all this technology, also being able to quantify this stuff with measurement, which can show improvement, where a student can actually see physical improvement through measurements. It's kind of like losing weight and stepping on a scale. You don't know whether you lost weight. You go, hey, did I lose weight? My notch on my belt is a couple of inches less, or I might be pulling it in one more notch, and then I get on the scale and I'm the same exact weight. So, all right, maybe I'm getting in better shape. So there's things like that if we can kind of measure those things, it gives us a lot better opportunity to be able to see some consistent growth in what we're doing, which I think for most of the players that I deal with, and even myself, it's encouraging to them because they see that they're moving in the right direction.
Right. I think, it's funny, a TrackMan, as an example, gets a bit of a bad rap sometimes. Brandel Chambly, I've met a couple times, nice fella. For a while there, he seemed like and he just had a vendetta against TrackMan. And I think TrackMan's a very simple tool for a lot of students. It's, and I can put a student in front of a TrackMan, let's just say they're working on their swing plane, or their swing direction. Well, there's 26 things you can measure on TrackMan. Well, you can just put one of them up there. What's the person's swing direction? Is he working on being from to across the target line to more inside out? Fine, let's measure that, and let's put in little teaching elements that help him go from something that delivers a fade bias to something that delivers a draw bias. And then with that one little number that's on the screen, whether it's like let's just say a student starts off -8 or 9 swing direction, and that's going to be something that delivers likely a fade bias unless they're hitting down a ton, right? And then you can show them through their personal feels, not just what's your personal feel to get this thing to get on the other side of zero, so you can start to hit a draw and understand how to hit a draw. So the technology can be made very, very simple, and like you say, once a student can see progress in the numbers, then it's not something that they have to necessarily trust the teacher. I want people to hold me in contempt. I want them to make me prove to them that I know what I'm doing and that I'm making a change with them. I don't want, just listen to me. No. I know what I'm doing. I have faith in what I'm doing, but I want you to have, you to hold me in contempt, trust me a little bit, but also trust the other stuff that, do you see the video change for the positive with your swing? Yeah. Do you see the numbers change for the positive with your swing? Do you see your 3-dimensional, quote, avatar taking on a pattern that represents what better players tend to do? Yeah. Well, guess what? You're making a change. Now, that's all technique. Now, can you take that in the field? And as a coach, a big part of what I do is shot preparation. I want somebody to read, plan, do, and review. And read, plan, do, and review is simple. Well, I'm 150 yards. I'm uphill. I got a little wind. Okay. Well, I'm going to hit a 7-iron. I'm going to hit a 6-iron, whatever I'm going to hit. Okay, and it's going to go to this part of the green because the pin's over there. And I'm going to avoid this bunker because that bunker is pretty much a guaranteed bogey. This side of the greens, maybe certainly a par or an opportunity for a par. And then there's a do phase, step in, hit it, and then there's a review phase. How'd I feel? How'd I do? Where'd my boo-boo happen? Okay, then I move on. And I don't think enough coaches, that you're always paid by the hour for technique. But I think most of the learning happens in the behind the line phase. In other words, the shot selection. Okay, really, how far do you really hit it? Most amateurs come to me, they always say they hit it a certain distance. And then we do a blind test on TrackMan, they hit it 20% short of what they think they do. That's just a fact. I know we all just think we're just super He-Men, right? But, what do you really hit it? Let's be honest. When you really know how far you hit it, then you actually have tools in your bag that you can use. If it's that, flyer 7-iron that you catch downwind that goes 160, but it's really a 140 club, then we really need to know that and live within our means and play our best golf based on fact.
Sure, that's true. I mean, it's you're not going to take a bike on a racetrack. So sure. It's, unless you're really good at it, but and even then, so it's there's certain things that you need to know, and if you have that information, now you have the correct tools. You can choose the tool for the job, and then have a much better result as for that. So that's definitely true. So, quick question I wanted to ask you was too. Yes. Because you did put together some really nice training aids.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Tour Striker is a really nice training aid, and price point is, I believe a lot of the stuff that you put out there too, price point is reasonable. It's not way over the top. Sometimes those things are way over the top. So when you put that together, give us a little bit of insight into how you came up with the idea and then how you kind of implemented it. And then how it went into process.
Sure. I get asked all the time, I've been, like I said, I started a long time teaching. So I've always been standing there with students going, man, I wish I had this to help inspire the person to do that. External things to help expedite the feel process. Well, I remember vividly standing on the range with a new golfer, and literally the guy was a genius. He was like a rocket scientist. But he was a brand new golfer. He was just retired. He was a member, joined my club. He was a Brit. Super nice guy. He was coming in for lessons, and he had the perfect hang back, scoopy behavior. Here's a super intelligent guy who couldn't get his brain around, how to compress a golf ball. No idea, right? So in my golf machine background, I explain a little bit of flat left wrist, how to touch the ball before you touch the ground, where your weight should be at impact. Well, he couldn't get his head around that, and every shot was kind of fall back and scoop. So I do a little deal, and I've been doing it for years, where I take the face and I put a dot about the fourth groove with a Sharpie. Then I'd hit a little shot, and I'd say, through a combination of a little bit of forward lean and a little bit of downward strike, I can smear this Sharpie mark on the third or fourth groove. So then I would always explain, well, the face does a bit of this, the loft gets a bit stronger when your weight's a little bit left, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought to myself, well, if I hit a really good shot, Bernie, I don't necessarily use the first two grooves on the club. So I thought, I'm going to take those away altogether. So I thought, there was a old Jerry Barber shankless 7-iron. Remember those?
Yeah.
Jerry Barber shankless clubs?
Yeah.
Well, somebody had lost one of my lost and found at my club, and had been in there for years. The whole time I'd been the club pro there. So I had a little epiphany. I went to the range after that fellow's lesson, and I got on the grinding wheel, and I just started grinding the daylights out of that thing, and I rounded off, like literally from the third groove right to the sole, because I could get, there's no hosel on that iron, so I could get all the way across the face. So I ground that sucker away, and I thought, I got it. I'm looking at it and getting it just where I wanted it, and I could still hit a ball and make it go up. I thought, okay. So this gentleman came back for a lesson the next week, and I said, here you go, Peter, hit this. And he looked at it, and he goes, how can I hit that? And I said, watch. And he saw the face, and he saw me hit one, and the ball went up, and it went fine. And he realized that, oh, I see what you're doing. And in that moment, that was an epiphany for him. His weight went left, his handle went forward, he leaned the shaft. He had no choice really but to touch the ball, touch the ground. And then he started making the ball go up with a different intent. So I called my wife, I said, Stacy, I think I got something cool here. This changed this dude's behavior right away. And so then I went down the road of, I got a patent attorney. We did a search, and the guy goes, yeah, there's a few things out there that, protect this and that, but he goes, what you want to do, fine, go for it. Looks fine. So wrote a patent, got a utility patent, which was cool. Had a big break with production. I met Tom Wishon, who you've probably heard of.
Sure, absolutely.
One of the great, researchers and club designers. And anyway, Tom referred me. I've never actually met the man. This was through email. He referred me to a for-hire club designer guy out of Milwaukee who was hysterical. He said to me, I've seen everything. Let me take a look. It's probably going to be useless, but I'll take a look and, save you time. So he took a look and goes, this is novel. He goes, I'll design it for you. We negotiated a price. But what was really cool with him was he had the contacts overseas, because they don't investment cast any clubs in the United States anymore.
Sure.
So through that connection, I connected to China and the manufacturers in China. And that was a big break, because now I'm, basically on a Skype with a nice person in China who's making my product for me. And then my wife and I ordered 500 pieces, or 1,000. We ordered 1,000 pieces. That was a big deal, because you got to order a lot of pieces in order to get the economies of scale proper.
Sure. So
in end of November 2008, we took delivery of 1,000 Tour Strikers to our garage in Bend, Oregon. Okay, one model back then, and I was a club pro at a nice place in Oregon, and now all of a sudden it's like, hey, what do we do with these things? So we created a Tour Striker. I named it Tour Striker. Just kind of Google searched a bunch of names. I was going to call it the Pure Striker. That was already taken. Tour Striker was my next choice. Started the website and made some, cheap videos, posted them up there. Next thing you know, I kind of seeded it in a couple of blogs, and sure enough, people started buying the darn thing. And the testimonials came back pretty positive, which was nice. I went to the PGA show shortly thereafter in the new year, January 2009. Stacy and I, 10 by 10 booth, cheap banner behind us, and all the teaching pros kept walking up and going, man, that's a good idea. I wish I'd have thought of that. And you name it. Chuck Cook came up and bought one. Randy Smith. Those are the memorable ones I think of. Different guys came up and bought one then. And that's when I knew that it was a pretty cool thing. And I got approached by a marketing agency to do an infomercial, and we did that. And that was on the Golf Channel for a couple of years. It aired from 2010 to 2012. And Gary McCord was my spokesman. And so that was cool. So that really, we sold a lot of just as a teacher, I always think, geez, I wish I had, something to inspire this behaviors. And I've got a few other gizmos coming up this fall. That'll be at the PGA show in 2016 here in a few months.
That's great. That's great. So look, we're kind of getting close to the end of this here. So I thank you so much for getting up nice and early on your day off. And
no, my pleasure. I had to get the kids out the door so we can have some peace and quiet there at school.
Yeah, but that's I really appreciate it, and hopefully one day we'll have the opportunity to meet in person, maybe at the PGA show if you're there. So I'm fortunate enough to be in the same state now, so it's kind of just about a 2.5 hour ride for me up there to Orlando, and it's some good stuff.
Yeah, indeed. I wish you good luck with Impact Zone Golf and their home base in Florida. It'd be great.
Thanks very much.
You've been listening to Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan, the only weekly golf instructional podcast that helps you take control of your game. Need help with a part of your game? Email us at parbreakers@gmail.com and we will cover your topic in a future show. You can also follow us on Twitter @parbreakers. For more tips and videos to help your game, go to www.parbreakers.com, where you learn to take control of your game.